You're listening to Warrior Talk with Heather Thomas Van Daren and Brant Fricker. Get inspired. Be empowered. Warrior Talk.
Yeah, we're live, folks, and we're having fun. We're about to record a really good show. They're all good, but I'm excited about this. But yeah, about Southern phrases, because like around Oklahoma City, do what, do what, do what, do what? Northerner doesn't know what that means. What did you say? and Heather just said the devil ain't worth a plug nickel. No, he ain't.
No, it's so true. Absolutely. I am
Well,
trying to get onto Facebook here and
yeah.
I'm having difficulties. So keep talking. Hi,
Yeah,
everybody.
keep talking, Brant. Well, so my wife Christy, she was raised in Arkansas, in the mountains where we are, and
That's country.
oh yeah, and she's watching the show, and I always come in a little later. Hey, what's going on? She's like, hey, tell me the whole plot right now while you're watching it. And howdy, Sheldon. I love that guy.
Oh, yeah. He's our Warrior Talk guy.
Oh yeah, so Sheldon Stewart understands it well. So I said, "What's going on, baby?" And she goes, "Oh, this guy, he sold her down the river." What? Sold her down the river? Is it a show about slavery? And she goes, "No. He betrayed her. He sold her down the river."
Exactly. Don't you
All
know
right,
nothing?
or walk out. So it's as hot as it's as cold as Cooter Brown. Or whatever.
I
Anyway.
can't wait to to meet that gal. I
Oh,
tell
I
you what.
know. You've met each other, several times on Zoom, but
Yeah.
she needs to meet you in person.
Yeah. If we're in the same room, you may just have to leave. Oh, you'd be like, oh no.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I love Southern folk and Southern values and Southern phrases. So it's always fun, always an adventure. And you know what? Southern people they tend to say what they mean what they say, which has everything to do with our title today. We could have called it like one of the titles. You have the best titles, but being real in a fake world. But this is real or fake. What is your take? And it's going to be fun as well as we go through this today. But I'm always happy to see you, Heather, and we love our people. That's why we're doing what we do, folks.
Absolutely. Yeah, real or fake? What's your take? So it sounds like a game show host.
Hey, real or fake? What's your take? I'm your host, Jack
No,
Ferrari.
We're gonna have fun. Yeah.
Well, go ahead and kick us off there, Lady Heather.
Okay. We want to welcome you to another Warrior Talk. We're excited, as always, to be here. We've got a great topic today. I'm Heather Thomas Van Daren, in case you didn't know. And I'm with my co-host, Brant Fricker, and we're ready to rock and roll today, guys. There's been a lot going on this week. And, there's been a lot happening in our world. And sometimes you just kind of have to take a lighter look at things. And we're going to try and do that today. But we're also going to cover some seriousness, too, because I don't know if y'all checked the news lately. We've got some incredible enemy warfare going on right now, and it's all around us. It's everywhere. There are fake people trying to accomplish the devil's work.
Yeah,
and that pretty much sums it up.
Pretty much
They
sums it
know
up,
what they're doing. They're not stupid. They know what they're doing.
They're just hoping that you're stupid.
Exactly. Right?
Yeah.
We can't do that. We've got to be warriors. We've got to have our armor on, and we have got to be ready for battle, because there is a war going on right now under our noses. A lot of people don't see it. A lot of people don't care to see it. What is it that you always say, Brett, about that? You say some people want to know.
Yeah, there's some people who want to know. There's some people who don't want to know. There's some people who know and don't care. There's some people who don't know and don't care. Well, let's move all that aside. and don't even waste your breath with them anymore. What you want to do, that's God calling. He says, good show, by the way.
Oh, good.
But I'm focused on the people who care.
Yeah.
And I'm at the point now when it comes to dealing with trolls or people that, folks, if there's a group of people that are aligned with our enemies, then they're our enemies too. I'll say it again. If there's a group of people that are aligned with our enemies of our nation, then they're also our enemies too. So why argue with them? I'm at the point now, no more words. See you on the battlefield. I'll see you on the battle. No more words. That's where we are. You don't know how close we are to a civil war. So we have our hearts right. And we have to do what we can to make our voice heard and utilize our freedoms as Americans. Not everyone around the world has these freedoms. That's why they're all trying to come here. Okay. And then others are here because they're paid to come here to fight you. So you got to get real in your faith, and you have to get real. But you know what? The joy of the Lord is our strength too. We can laugh. We're going to laugh a little bit today, but we got to get real, and we have to know the difference between real and fake. And it doesn't mean we go around judging everybody. It means that we set our face like flint, like Jesus did. We walk in that direction, and we just don't have time for the fake to mess around, moving in a direction. And we don't want to be distracted by the enemy, who is the master of distraction.
Oh, he is. I mean, that's one thing he does have down pat, I tell you, is deceiving people, distracting people. And where are all the lies? Where are all the lies? They're everywhere, guys. They're everywhere. They are, they're in our government.
Yeah.
They're in Hollywood. That goes without saying.
Oh gosh.
They're everywhere. They're in business practices. Okay. They're in doctor's offices. Oh yes, we can fix that. We can treat that. Treat does not mean cure, by the way. There's all kinds of facade in this world that we buy into.
Right.
Oh, we've got to have discernment. There is even lies in the life of Christian people, maybe even you, maybe even me.
Yeah.
None of us are immune to telling white lies. None of us are immune to covering things up when we're in a bind or backed up into a corner. To be overcomers, we have to, like you said, Brett, you say that. I always say what I mean, and I mean what I say.
I do.
Every time you say that, it reminds me of Horton Hears a Who. The elephant in Horton.
Well, look. I'll be the first to confess. Okay, I know what it's like to want to please people, and as a young man, and especially in ministry, if you go into ministry with a heart to minister to people, you can very easily find yourself trying so hard that you want to make everybody happy. The problem is that if you're not careful, you're going to compromise who you are, not necessarily with immorality, although that does happen if you're not careful. You got to try hard to do that. But you can find yourself in a people-pleasing mode, and what you tell this person may be a little different than what you tell them. Well, you can sing this Sunday. Well, you can too. Hey, well, then you find out there's not enough mics, and then you forgot who you told what to. You didn't mean to, but you didn't give them accurate information because you didn't consider. You were so busy trying to please people. That's one example. Another example is deception. Or using people, loving people and using things, which is what we do, or loving things and using people. This morning I saw a good post by Mike Massey. He's a great leader in Dallas. And he said, the leader's first thought needs to match up with his actions. Your motives need to match up with your action. You can be a preacher and say, I need a bigger building, but what you're really saying is I need more money. There's no shame, no blame. But sometimes we have to stop the world and say, wait a minute. I don't want to be that kind of person that in the desire to please people or to have favor, I'm telling people whatever they want to hear, or I'm telling them things to win their favor. No. I need to be a person that is genuine in their vision, and those who see and recognize a vision of the Lord, they will jump on board, and I won't have to compromise that. And the way to do that is make a determination to be someone who asks themselves the hard questions. Why am I doing this? You might be surprised. Why am I doing this? I'll never forget, Heather. I was 7 years into a church plant that I did, and I named the church. I recruited most of the church, but the pastor turned out to be a snake, and he brought in a failed pastor underneath him, to both of them to be over me. And next thing you know, they're changing the name of the church and they're manipulating people. And
Mhm.
I'm on my land, and I thought, what am I doing? And the Lord spoke really strongly to me. He said, "You're being a Balaam." If you remember the story of Balaam, that man took money from a king to curse the children of Israel, and God used
Mhm.
a donkey to talk some sense into him. The angel of the Lord
Yeah.
would smite him. He said, "Why are you being a Balaam?" I thought, "Oh my God, what do you mean being a Balaam? I'm not a Balaam. I'm not going to use people." Sam, if you're willing to do something you don't believe in for money,
Mhm.
then that's like a
Yeah.
Balaam. And if you're going to do something that you don't agree with for money, supporting a deceptive manipulator who's using people to keep a job, why don't you go sell drugs and make real money? Don't walk in this Balaam spirit. And that set me free that day. I said, number one, I will not be a Balaam. I will not support a ministry or an organization that is doing evil or doing wrong. And secondly, I will not be like that man and lie to people and tell people what they want to hear and then forget so I made that determination long
Yeah.
ago and just said, you know what? I'm going to say what I mean, and I'm going to mean what I say. And then you don't have to remember, if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. I don't have to remember anything I say if I say what I mean and I mean what I say, and I stand by it.
Because an elephant is faithful 100%. If you know anything about Horton Hears a Who, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Just can't get that out of my head. But that is so true, because as a Jesus follower, we're supposed to be above reproach. We're not even supposed to come close to the people that are just wallowing through this world right now. And it's all about them. What can they get? What can they do? Who can they take down? Who can they push out of the way to take another rung in the ladder? We're supposed to be above reproach. And that doesn't come naturally against our sin nature. We have to, like you said, we have to set our face like flint. We have to work at it. We have to know our stuff. We have to research. You were talking about, I'm not going to have anything to do with this type of person or this type of organization. You know what? Sometimes that takes research.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to look at some of these companies that you're trading with, some of these stores you're walking into without a thought. Sometimes you have to think about that kind of stuff and not support them. Some people have a hard time because they're like, well, they carry this brand that I really, really like. Yeah, but you're giving your money to a company that pays and gives that money to slaughter babies. You have to know your stuff, and that's part of being without um
Approach.
well, just be, yeah, without
Above
reproach.
reproach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
without reproach. And the MAGA, Make America Great Again. Well, how about make lying wrong again? How about that? Because
MLW.
it seems to be so okay. It
Well,
blows
yeah,
me
yeah.
away.
And a white lie is still a lie, you know.
Yeah.
Now the other side of that, say what you mean what you say, is that sometimes I have to readjust, and if
Yeah.
I'm wrong, hey, I'll admit I'm wrong. If you maintain or determine to have a teachable heart, your life's going to be a lot better, because some people have to be right about everything. And let's say that you say what you mean what you say, but it turns out you're wrong. Well, there's not as much merit in that if you're not teachable. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I learned,
Yeah.
I learned in Phoenix, Arizona with Victorious Christian Living how to lower your shield. And someone may have a perception about you that's totally wrong, but you can either put up your shield and defend yourself, or you can do this. You can sincerely say, you know what? I don't agree with you, but I really don't want to put off that impression either. I'm sorry. Well, how do you
Yeah.
fight? How do you fight against that? You don't.
Yeah.
And be sincere, you know. But if you say what you mean and you mean what you say, and you try to have a teachable spirit, you're going to see that your life is going to accelerate in the things God has for you and the progression in life and your career, your ministry, all that, because you're moving. Remember last week, it's easier to drive a moving car. So be in motion. In him we live and move and have our being. Breathe his name. When you breathe, you're saying Yahweh. And that's the secret, folks. You can't pronounce it. It has no vowels. It's a breath. He is our
Mm.
this is the air I breathe. There's more to that song than you realize. Okay. So all that to say is, in this game of life of the real and fake, we can say what we mean and mean what we say, and we can be teachable if we turn out to be wrong.
Mm. Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with a little bit of humility and being humble. And for most people, that doesn't come naturally. It's something you have to work at. That was another thing. Um, we have to work at who we want to be. We have to learn the difference between right and wrong, and we have to stand by it.
Right.
And the Bible. I was looking this up. We both do our research before the shows, and there's over 93 verses in the Bible about calling good evil and evil good.
Mhm.
I didn't realize that, but that's pretty important to the Lord when he warns us about calling evil good. Um, Let me read, if you don't mind, Brent. Let me read 2 Timothy. This is crazy because, this is where Paul was talking to Timothy about the last days. You think we're here now? You think we're
You
here?
think?
We see stuff all around us. I don't know about y'all, but I see stuff all around me that blows me away. And sometimes I'm not even sure. I just kind of like, wow. And I just keep walking because I'm so taken aback by some of the things I see just on the streets of the towns. It's crazy. But he says this, listen to this. And this is the worldwide English version of the Bible. I've never heard of this before,
Okay.
but in doing my research, I thought, it's kind of like the Living Bible, where it speaks just in American English, just makes it very simple. But Paul was talking to Timothy, and he said, "Be sure of this: in the last days, hard times will come." You think hard times are here, guys?
Oh.
People will love themselves.
Mhm.
Self-love. This isn't a healthy self-love, guys, that we're
Mhm.
seeing today. They'll love money.
Mhm.
They'll talk about themselves and be proud.
Mhm.
They'll not be thankful. They'll not keep anything holy, and they will have no love. They'll not agree with anybody. Oh, I've got some friends like that. Always wanting to debate things, right?
Yeah.
And they'll not agree with anybody. They'll tell lies about people.
Uh-huh.
They'll have no self-control. They'll beat people. They'll not love anything that is good.
Mhm.
They can't be trusted. They'll act quickly without thinking. They are proud of themselves. They love to have fun more than they love God.
Mhm.
They act as if they worship God, but yet they don't let God's power work in their lives. Keep away from people like that.
Yeah.
He
Be a
warns
person like
us.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. It's just it's crazy times that we live in. We got to be armored up, y'all.
You know, Socrates once said that the unexamined life is not worth living. And we
True.
all have to do that, you know. And what we do, Heather, with singing and leading worship and recording, producing and speaking and all that, we have to make sure that we're not trying to live out our rock star or country star dreams on stage either. And I know that sounds shocking to some of you in the ministry world, but boy, it's rampant in the ministry world. But we've been doing this for so long, both of us, that we've learned, naturally, like we all have to learn the difference, you know. But
Yeah.
the people at Victorious Christian Living talked about, don't work out your problems on stage. And that was so profound to hear. I didn't really ever think about that. But we live in an era right now where the skinny jean, fog machine, big screen. If we're not careful, those tools that are effective in reaching an unchurched world, if we're not careful, the medium becomes the message, and we need to keep the message, and we need to always make sure that our goal, while we are on a stage or while we are using tools that people sometimes associate with celebrity, that we are making sure the message is the message. And so we all have to look at ourselves. And, as you go through life and navigate life, you have to ask yourself certain things. Why am I doing this new project? Why am I involved in this? It's not a critical thing. It's not harmful, but when you're navigating shifting sand, you need to make sure that you have a strong foundation, and so it's okay. It's okay to analyze yourself. It's okay to be wrong and just correct it. It's okay, but if you're always asking yourself, then you're not going to be delusional and walking in error like a lot of people are, that they're oblivious to it. And nobody has the guts to tell them. They used to bug the heck out of me. If you're my friend, tell me. Don't be afraid of me not being your friend so that you're not honest with me. Be honest with me. You'll be my friend if you're honest with me, even if I don't like it. But
Right.
don't not tell me, So anyhow, all that to say is some pretty heavy stuff, but there's some fun stuff too. Real or fake, what you're taking. You want to dive into that?
Sure. Really, how many of us have heard things and we've just taken it as the truth because maybe we even heard it from somebody behind the pulpit, or your
Oh yeah.
Sunday school teacher, or even your mom and dad. I mean, golly, we could dig into that. I think Ken Dabbs was on here talking about the Easter Bunny and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. That was a controversial show.
Right. Yeah, we have already covered that, haven't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things, even in the Bible, that has been misconstrued over the years, and we've just fallen into it,
Kind of got along with it.
we just kind of gone along with it. Okay, so, and I have some questions. Brant has some stuff and Brant, I want you to pick this up after I ask it. But here, okay, real or fake? What's your take? All angels are beautiful. What do you think?
Well, oh my God. I just saw your other notes here too, Well, if you look at the description of angels, a big eyeball surrounded with other eyeballs and wheels within a wheel. No, they're not all precious moments, angels. Why would people have to say, oh my God, the angel would say, fear not. They always say that, fear not, don't be afraid. Well, that means there's no reason to be afraid. So many angel encounters that you and I both are familiar with. Angels are massive.
Yeah.
And of course, I've never seen a female angel, but I'm Monica.
Me either.
Angel. I've seen it on TV, touched by an angel, but the angels that I have had a limited encounter with. They're very big and male, some fallen. But, just the Bible itself, the descriptions that they could be terrifying. And then some not, So we really can't say all angels are beautiful. Just like the old saying, Jesus used the King James, and it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. Well, no, Jesus didn't use the King James, and he didn't
No,
speak in Old English, and the Bible wasn't canonized yet, by the Council of
exactly.
Nicaea yet, a few hundred years later.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There was something, well, I don't know if you wanted to share that or not, but okay, so how about this next one? A lot of you know the truth of this, but I'm gonna put it out there anyway. It was an apple that Adam and Eve ate in the garden. Real or fake? What's your take?
Yeah. You're preaching, boy, Eve bit that apple. Well,
Exactly.
the founders of the Apple computer, which it's sadly true, you can research it.
Yeah.
The first component was 666, and it's a bitten apple. Okay, I'm using one right now, Macintosh.
Yeah.
And nowhere does it say it was an apple. It was the fruit of the tree. We just assume it was an apple, and it's easy to assume that when it's repeated enough, and you have a lot of Renaissance paintings that have an apple. So yeah, nope, that's fake.
Well, I guess, because we don't know, we kind of felt like, I'm saying humankind kind of felt like they had to choose something because we didn't really know what it was. But guess what, guys? We're going to find out in heaven. We're going to find out, and maybe it was an apple, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But there's another one that happens at Christmas time, Brant.
Oh yeah.
Everybody
when you
sets
do
up
your
everybody sets up their little nativity, and then they have the three wise men at the baby Jesus and the manger.
Oh yeah,
Real
they
or
all showed
fake?
up at the same
I mean,
time.
real or fake? What's your take on that?
Well, the truth is the Babylonian Jews were among the wise men. People get three wise men from gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And yes, there was enough to set up Jesus' family for a lifetime of riches, by the way. They were wealthy.
Right.
Well, he was a stonemason and a carpenter. Wasn't a whole lot of wood around there after the Romans crucified every Jewish man on every tree. But if you look into Dr. Ron Charles's work, The Chase and Chasing Jesus, extensive search for the historical Jesus over 30 years in the Middle East and Asia and America and Europe. No, they showed up about 2 years after Jesus was born. The Bible actually says, and they came to the house where he was. Well, the manger's not a house. So that's why Herod said every baby 2 years and younger. Why would they kill everyone 2 years and younger if he'd just been born? But because of the three gifts, we think it's three wise men. The reality is there are secular documents among Persia, among Babylonia, among the Chinese. There were Jews, astrologers, and wise men and scholars from multitudes of places. Jerusalem thought it was being invaded. That's why that's why King Herod, not King Heather, but King Herod was distressed, and all the people were distressed. It wasn't three dudes in bathrobes, with three boxes. Okay, it was some army men accompanying these dignitaries who had seen the scene. They saw the sign in the sky. See, God had his own constellation before mythology. We didn't get our constellation from mythology. Mythology got its constellation from God. The story of Hercules comes from Samson. Okay, so the mythology was after the truth of God in these stories. People don't realize that the Bible and the information in the Bible is older than mythology. Okay, so when they saw the star between the lion's paws, the king star, some say it was Jupiter, a certain alignment, they then made their way. So he was 2 years old. They came to the house where he was. That's the money they used to move back and forth from Egypt back to Nazareth, and they had a successful stonemason carpentry business. People don't know that, but you're going to. So yeah, that's another example.
Yeah. Absolutely. And as a side note, my mind is ADD, but as a side note, the gold, frankincense, and myrrh that the Bible mentions, um, of course we know gold is still around today. Frankincense oil is very, very popular. If
Oh, yeah.
you know anything about that, I have some frankincense oil. That was also one of the oils I believe that Mary used. Isn't that correct? um, that they used to embalm Jesus
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
Embalming then was different than what it is now. But that stuff really does help on our body when we're having aches and pains. Isn't that crazy that 2,000 years later, we're still using frankincense
Oh, yeah.
oil for anointing our bodies to help with arthritis, aches and pains, or whatever. I think that's kind of cool. We just need to go back to the Bible for information that has been there all along, and I just think that is very cool. Another fact that is kind of a misnomer is, okay, real or fake, what's your take? A whale swallowed Jonah.
Yeah, Jonah the whale. Well, no, nowhere in the Bible does it say whale. It says that God prepared a great fish,
Yep.
and we assume it's a whale,
Right.
but in this case, it may be no whale.
No,
No whale. No,
you know I,
yeah. It
that
is a great fish.
there's been known a great fish called a grouper that's big enough to swallow a shark. So
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, if there's a grouper that's big enough to swallow a shark whole, God can make any kind of fish he wants big
it
enough to
can.
swallow a man.
Oh yeah.
And it's just, but there again, because inquiring minds want to know, and we really didn't have an answer. So I guess somebody somewhere along the line just picked something,
Oh yeah,
and
without
said,
a doubt.
"Hey, it's a whale. It's got to be a whale." And there's all kinds of really, really fun stuff like that. So, um, I don't know if you want to cover what I had mentioned about Brent and Heather, but this can go anywhere, guys. We can have so
Oh
much
yeah.
fun with this.
Oh yeah. Well, we sure can. And the things we talked about for today's show, it goes even deeper too. And we've already met our first recording time limit, but there's something that we both have to say about lost souls and our response to
Oh,
it. That
yeah.
really could be delved into very extensively in this hour. And that's up to you, Heather. Yeah,
No, I say let's go ahead and cover this, and
okay.
we can get it into the podcast as well. But I can tell you a story. The bottom line, okay, about all of the things that are going on, all of the lies that are being told that we're having to navigate, and it's upsetting a lot of us. We've got to admit, uh, stuff is tearing us up inside because we're seeing so much right being called wrong and wrong being called right. But the bottom line is really this: why are we here?
Yeah.
Okay. What's our purpose? Do you know what your purpose is? Do you know what God has called you to do? It's not here to just pick apart the lies of the enemy. Um, God is going to take care of the enemy.
Yeah.
And we had talked about when we were talking about God's will, and you have this certain thing that you love to say is, what's God's will?
Well, God's will is for no man to perish, but for every man to come to
Exactly.
the knowledge of the truth. That's his
That's
will.
it.
And that's also his will for your life, folks.
Yeah.
Whatever he's put
And
into your hands to help him. See, we don't
yes.
have a ministry. You don't have a ministry. It's his
Mhm.
ministry, the ministry of
Amen.
reconciliation for no man or woman or child to go to hell, to die, to perish, but to come to the knowledge of the truth. And so the things he's brought you through, the gifts he's given you, singing, teaching, speaking, writing, being, encouraging, making money to support feeding feeding the hungry,
Yeah.
whatever he's given you to do in your heart and in your tool set to help him accomplish his will is his will for
Yes.
your life. And sometimes
Yeah.
that's helping deliver people from what you've been delivered from as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes our pain is others' gain because we use it as a testimony to keep them from going through what we've been through.
Right.
And Here is another thing. Remember, we're supposed to talk about him from the rising of the sun to the going down of the same. The name of the Lord shall be praised. If somebody out there has never been talked to about Jesus, God may very well put you in their path to do that. And I have something that happened to me 25 years ago, and I will never, ever forget it. And I can promise you that I learned a really hard lesson from this. First of all, don't be afraid of what other people are going to think. Okay. We don't have time for that.
Right.
Somebody's soul could be at stake. And I had some puppies that I was trying to rehome a long time ago. And this guy and his girlfriend, and they were pretty rough looking. Okay. They showed up to look at these puppies. First of all, I was a little concerned about where these puppies might be going. But as I talked to them, I realized that they were sweet people. They were just mistaken people. And I'm talking about the puppies. And the guy looked down and he says, I think we want to take two. We want a boy and a girl. And when he looked down, and this still makes me want to cry. It's a really big lesson. When he looked down on his eyelids, on one eyelid, he had the word lost tattooed. On the other eyelid, he had the word soul tattooed. On his eyelids, guys, lost soul. And I was so mortified by what I was seeing that I froze and I didn't say a word to that guy about Jesus. And I cried buckets of tears after they left because I knew I had failed my Lord. Big time. That would have been such an easy in. Lost soul? Is that what your eyelids say? Are you really a lost soul?
Yeah.
That's all it had to be right there, guys. So just remember this. That's the real reason why we're here.
Yeah.
It's not to get all hung up on whether the Easter Bunny's real or not real, or whether you should talk about it or celebrate it. We're not. No. It's the lies that are coming out of our government right now.
Yeah.
Just be aware. Just be aware, but don't let it consume you, because that's not our real purpose for being here, Brent.
Well, it's true. You cannot believe one word you hear from the mainstream media. How do I know? Because I'm in it. I broadcast on those networks, and some of the things we do crosses over too, Heather. But I'm in that world with my advertising agency. You cannot believe one thing you hear from the mainstream media. They are owned by our enemies, and this government's owned by our enemies. The military, not so much, but this administration has abetted and aided our enemies, and that it is what it is. If it offends you, tough. It's the truth. You can put a backpack of bricks on and jump off a building and die and be offended. But gravity is gravity. Gravity doesn't care about your feelings. Facts don't care about your feelings. We're at war. And
Right.
This administration has betrayed us, regardless of how you voted. When RFK, a Democrat, still a Democrat, calls his own party corrupt, look out. Of course, we have a lot of corruption in the Republican Party too. We have people that have betrayed our country there too. It's not just the Dems, but they're driving the ship. And but yeah, the bottom line is the good old Kennedy Democrats are gone from leadership. RFK was our last one, and if RFK was running against Trump, he probably could have beat him because he's more middle ground of anybody. But RFK now endorses the conservative side, I should say. But our media is lying to you. Just minutes ago, thousands of Hezbollah operatives were killed through their cell phones by Israel. And yet you won't
Wow.
find it on the mainstream media owned by Muslim oil and China. So turn it off and seek out those things. Live from Israel with Avi, that's the truth. We do that every Tuesday morning. Warrior Talk, we're going to touch on that stuff too. We are right now. That you're hearing right now, which you're not going to see on the media. And if Israel has the technology to destroy her enemies through their cell phones, then
Wow.
God help those who stand against them. And I've
Mhm.
long maintained, but what I'm saying is, real or fake, what's your take? Do not believe one word you hear. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
not one thing you hear. Fox Media,
Yes.
they're playing a big game. Those sons are Luciferian liberals. Okay, don't play the game. I know
Yeah.
people. Okay, so turn off the media. They're lying to you, but you can trust God, and you can trust
Amen.
those of us who have nothing to gain. You don't see sponsorship banners on our shows. Nobody owns us. Nobody's going to pull us into a meeting and reprimand us. We might lose tithers. We don't have tithers. Heather, you have people that support your ministry. They need to. You know, this administration's done a number on your husband's benefits,
Yep.
folks.
Yep.
Okay. This administration, this communist Luciferian administration, is denying Heather her due for being married to a serviceman and being a caregiver for years. Hope you don't mind me
Yep.
saying there, but that's the truth.
Nope.
So,
Yeah.
of all your great projects you're doing, you need to give to widows and orphans, which is called perfect religion, and understand that this administration is betraying our veterans and their veterans' wives right now that you see on the screen.
Yeah.
So, know the difference between real or fake. Put aside your pride. Be willing to have been wrong if you have been, and open your eyes and do what you know to do. But minutes ago, God's enemies have been dealt with. I don't want to be an enemy of God. I don't want to stand against Israel. But if I sided with those who do, I'm an enemy of God. Don't do it. And so
Mm.
understand, discern the times, like the sons of Issachar, discern the times. And if that offended some of you, sorry, love you enough to tell you there's an oncoming truck. It's got your name
Yeah.
on it. So get out of the way because we love you.
We
And
do.
we love you more than your money. But wise up. And men, we're going to have to fight battles so our children don't have to. Be ready to fight the battle that your children don't have to. Otherwise, our children will have to. And what does that make us? It makes us cowards if we're not willing to take up the sword and fight for what our children shouldn't have to.
That's right.
So, very serious, but it is what it is. And all that to say is we've got to snap out of this stuff. We got to wake up and understand evil is evil. You cannot call yourself a follower of Jesus and support the worship of Moloch.
Mm.
Real, wake up.
Yeah.
And hang with those who love you enough to shoot straight with you. Heather, if you're about to walk out on the platform and you got a booger in your nose, I'm going to tell you because I care about you.
Better.
That's true. If I have one in my nose, you're going to tell me why? Because we care more about the success of that person than we do about them not liking us. I don't need you to like me. Don't like me. Don't follow me. Don't admire me. Don't praise me. I'm nothing without Jesus, and I know it.
Amen. That's right.
So, but I love you enough to shoot straight with you, and I got nothing to lose by telling you the truth. I know from the inside. Do not trust the media. Do not trust this Luciferian establishment. And you're seeing the censorship here. I'm amazed that we're able to still be on Facebook. But you know what? You need to also download a free app called We the People Town Square. We the People Town Square. They won't tell you how to vote, but you better have an alternative to DeFear's anti-Jewish Nazi platform that we're on right now. And so, but we'll continue as long as we can. I hope those words aren't too strong, Heather.
No, the truth can't be too strong. And the bottom line is all of that stuff is true, Brett. And all of us need to know about that kind of stuff. But we are responsible for our own selves, our own families. You have got to armor up. That's why we do Warrior Talk. Armor up. Take on the whole armor of God. Ephesians 6. Be prepared for anything. Vet everything to the best of your ability. I have a friend that always says in a time of decisions, give it 24 hours. Don't just rush into believing something that comes your way. Defend your family, defend your faith, know who you are in Christ, be unapologetic, and stay tuned for the next Warrior Talk because we love you.
We do love you, and we're looking out for you. And can't wait till next time, folks. So stay strong. Be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on that armor. God wins in the end. And so he loves you. And we love you too. We'll see you next time.